Hello everyone, my name is Melody and this is episode 10 of You Know I. And for this episode, I've decided to do something a little bit different. Since it's like somewhat of a milestone, I'm going to be giving you a conversation where I'm interviewed. So Morad, who featured in episode 4, interviews me about my theatre shows. I talk about how I made the theatre shows, how I met Jesus, and I go on in the beginning a bit about how I feel about having a gay identity or a queer identity. How I feel about that, having that as like a primary identity or a secondary identity. I struggle to even articulate it now, but I don't even think I articulate it in the interview very well because it's something I'm constantly thinking about, but I'm also changing my mind about. Which brings me to this idea of being a podcaster and now that being part of my identity. And it's kind of weird because this whole thing, like even doing these intros, like it feels I'm performing, it's something I'm not used to. Like I never went to, like I've never done radio before. I've never done presenting before. All I did last year was a course at TAFE, a radio podcast production course, which I failed at. Yeah, I failed the whole course, but I learned enough to be able to produce this podcast. Yeah, reaching episode 10 is sort of a big deal because apparently, I hope I'm not making up this statistic, but apparently 50% or not, no, it's like 90% of podcasters don't get past episode 3. So here we are, episode 10. A weird thing I find about doing this is, one, not being able to articulate myself, but then realizing, it comes with time. Like I feel I'm more able to articulate myself now than I was like 2 months ago, which is pretty cool. I am like self-conscious a lot, and I'm self-conscious about releasing this episode because I talk about some things that I really feel deeply now, or I felt deeply at the time were so correct, and I was saying them, and putting out how you feel about something out into the digital universe, it's out there. And if you change your mind, if someone listens to what you've said, like say 5 years from now, someone listens to this and they're like, oh, Melody thinks this, but I feel like it doesn't give me room to change my mind. How I feel about having a gay identity, like I'm reckoning with this, like, oh, it's so overblown, like, do we need pride? And I'm concerned that if I put this out here, if I feel differently in 3 years, it's like I'm going to have 2 different versions of myself out there. It's a weird thing putting yourself out there, and that's what you've said. I'm concerned someone, or worried or self-conscious, someone might take it the wrong way. What if someone uses my words against me? Like, these are all big insecurities and things I think about, but you know what? I've been thinking about this for a while, and here it is. Like, this is it. If I change my mind in like 3 months, then so be it. I'll put that out. But we should just have the freedom to think and say how we feel. And for people not to get, like, people can get upset about how we feel, but it's not to take it so intensely, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Like, the point of the podcast is to explore ideas and to hopefully just expand my worldview and the people's that are listening. But it's all, the whole purpose of doing this is just about conversation, saying what you think and just having the freedom to just talk about ideas. And this was me about 3 months ago. So this was me in December of 2022, saying how I feel about the discomfort of having this gay identity, making theatre shows, meeting Jesus, and being reprimanded for mentioning Germaine Greer in a New Zealand Herald article. So here it is. It's real, it's raw, it's me today. Well, actually, it was me 4 months ago. I think it's still me today. It might not be me tomorrow. I hope you enjoy it anyway. My name is Melody Rachel. I'm an artist.
What kind of artist?
I make one-woman theatre shows.
One-woman theatre shows?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Melody Rachel. What do you prefer to be called as?
Melody.
Melody.
Rachel's actually my middle name, but I won't tell you my last name, so.
You don't want to tell me your last name?
No.
I know your last name.
Okay, well, the audience doesn't.
Okay, Melody. So I attended a theatre not too long ago. I saw a show called You Know I.
You Know I.
You Know I. And that was about you as a gay woman
Mm-hmm.
and the many facets that it entails.
Yeah. Well, me as a human being, but I mean, being gay is part of me also.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Many as it entails, but being gay is part of me also. What does that mean?
Well, there's a difference between being a gay woman and just being a woman who is also gay. When people say I'm a gay woman, I feel like they're putting that before who they are as an individual. So they're putting their group identity before who they are as an individual. And I see myself as an individual and a human being who is also gay. I'm not a gay individual. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. So by saying I'm a gay woman is different from saying I'm a woman who's gay. It's not just the way you say something, the style of it. It actually has meaning.
To me, it does, but I also think it carries to other people. Gay sometimes can have like a socio-political meaning to it.
Yeah.
So can woman,
Yeah.
but I think more so gay.
Yeah.
Because like I think your gender or your sex is much more central to who you are than being gay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. All right. So if we go back to the play, the premise of the play is that you're a woman who happens to be gay.
The premise of the play is me writing a bunch of random stuff about my identity and trying to navigate through that. So I'm a surfer, I'm gay, I love house music, I feel a bit lost. Am I alone in this world? Do people feel the same as I feel? It wasn't like this conceptualized theatre piece that had this deep meaning. It was just me wanting to put on a show for the Fringe, me setting myself a deadline, and then me just working towards that deadline. So yeah, I just wrote about facets of my identity.
Okay. Let's go through them real quick.
Okay. So I'm a surfer.
Surfer. Okay. How does that make up your identity?
Because it's something I'm interested in.
Yeah. But does surfing have such an impact on your life that it actually that it alters your identity in a way?
No.
Isn't surfing just something that
I do?
You do? Yeah.
Yeah.
So does that really carry through the fact that you're a woman and you're gay?
I think if I was to tell people 3 things about myself,
yeah,
I would say I love to surf, I love to travel, and I'm interested in intellectual conversations.
Okay. So surfing is up there. Surfing is
it's
critical.
Something I love to do.
Yeah, it's critical to who you are and your lifestyle.
No, not really. It's just something. What makes people interesting is the things they're interested in.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. So I would say I'm a surfer. I'm a theatre maker. I've just started doing comedy.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not.
It's part of your makeup. I get it.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I could say I'm a woman, I'm gay, and I'm gender non-conforming. But those things are things I just am anyway.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing particularly interesting about the fact that I'm a bit gender non-conforming. By that I mean I wear boys' clothes.
Yeah.
Like it's almost self-absorbed to sort of say, oh yeah, this is like who I am. I'm trying to prove to people who I am. Like I wear boys' clothes. Like if you meet me, you can already see that. You can't automatically see that I surf. You know, I like Chinese food. I have just started doing comedy. Like those things are much more interesting. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Well, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're saying, yeah.
So when someone says, oh, I'm gay, I'm just like, cool. I don't care. Unless I'm trying to date you. Like it doesn't matter. What are you interested in?
Yeah. Okay.
And I feel like we've formed our identities on these sort of groups, which I just find odd. I'm like, but what drives you? Or what are you passionate about? I don't really give much about how you dress.
Yeah, and that's why surfing featured in the play.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so that was the first facet. What's the second facet?
I talked about being gay, but I find that identity category uncomfortable.
That's interesting, because you are gay.
Well, yeah, but the reason I talked about being, I use the word queer. There's
queer, that's right.
Queer, yeah? I said I'm walk down the street, queer. Go to the shop, queer. Go to the beach, queer. I was trying to explain that in a way of, oh my God, I'm queer everywhere I go. We're putting such an emphasis on being queer that it's just very uncomfortable. maybe I need to rework the show, but to really get that message across.
Yeah.
And that's my job as an artist. But yeah, being queer, walking into a shop who's got a rainbow flag on the shop window saying, "You are welcome here," it should just be a given.
Yeah.
It also seems just like corporate capitalism, woke capitalism.
All right.
Like, buy from us because we love the gays. It's like, I don't care if you like the gays. Like, don't chuck a rainbow flag on your shop window because you think I'm more likely to buy things from you. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, just treat me like a normal person.
Yeah. So when you go back to the play, you emphasize queer so much that gay has to be at its center. But
the reason I was emphasizing it is because I find it ridiculous.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Jonathan Haidt talked about this, right? You know, our group identities. If we need to emphasize them when we're trying to lift people up. Like, if there are people in society that don't have the same rights as other people, or they're being treated differently, because, you know, I'm still treated differently by certain people because I'm gay. So I'm going to emphasize that part of my identity if I'm trying to fight to be treated the same or be held to the same standard as someone else. Of course, I'm going to emphasize that section of my identity. Same with being a woman, or same with being gender non-conforming. If people sort of reprimand women, and I think actually men get this worse. For men get reprimanded more in society for being feminine than women do for being masculine. But if that's happening in society, then I will emphasize that section of my identity. But for the purpose of everyday life, I don't think it matters. When I'm buying a coffee, it doesn't matter if I'm gay.
No.
That's the purpose.
That's the purpose of you then, you know, making it the second point.
Yeah.
Of your show, of the theatre.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So how many points was it all up? How many facets?
House music.
You opened the show with the house music.
Yeah.
House music is a big part of your life.
I love house music.
Yeah.
I always listen to it when I'm running. I just enjoy. I'm smiling right now. We're talking about it. I love house music. It's something I love.
Yeah, it's. But house music has no bearing on you as a woman, or on you as a woman who's gay, or on you as a woman who's gender non-conforming. It's just purely the joy you get from house music is exactly the same as a heterosexual male gets from house music.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was emphasized in the show as a part of your makeup.
Well, something I enjoy.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about it.
Yep. So
people go to the theater because they want to go to see something they can relate to, right?
Yeah.
We watch shows because we see ourselves in the characters in the movies. We see ourselves in them.
Yeah.
We identify with them.
Yeah.
And I think the theater is the same. You're identifying, even if someone's story is completely different to mine. Like, yeah, I'm a woman who's gay, who's gender non-conforming, but a dude who's straight, who's, I don't know, gender conforming can still relate to me.
Yeah. Through the surfing, through the music.
Just anything.
Can they relate by the fact that you're gay?
They could probably relate. They might not be gay, but maybe they agree politically. They're like, oh yeah, being queer is emphasized a lot. They might agree on that aspect of it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's so many different reasons, and so many things can resonate as well. Like, he might have an issue. Oh, well, why is my white identity being emphasized? Even though I didn't talk about that, I was talking about queer identity being emphasized, but he might look at that and filter it through his own experience.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't even need to be, I don't even need to say anything specific to that person's experience. They could, it's like you see a work of art and it just automatically can just release something inside you and make you feel less alone in the world.
Yeah. So in doing the show in the very first place, it was out of frustration that being queer is just not a run-of-the-mill lifestyle.
I'm frustrated that we emphasize group identity over individual identity. That's what I'm frustrated about.
Yeah, okay. So you prefer people who identify as gay just walk down the street and they're looked at as individuals.
Yeah, who they are.
Yeah, who they are as a human, as a person.
Yeah, if you're an asshole and you're gay, like, you're still an asshole.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So why do you think that the group is identified over the individual?
I think if we weren't treated differently by society in the first place, we wouldn't have this problem. But unfortunately we were. But now that we are so far along, especially in inner city suburbs, I mean, we're in Newtown, every third person is gay here.
Yeah.
There's always work to be done. But in my head, we're much further along than...
Yeah. But when you say there's always work to be done, what's that mean? Like, give me an example.
I mean, I'm not accepted by some people.
How do you know, though? How do you know that?
Well, for things they said to me. Anyway, it's actually not about being accepted. I don't really care. It's about being treated differently. If someone doesn't believe in same-sex marriage, that's fine. They're allowed to believe that. But if they start treating me differently,
yeah. So you've had those experiences.
100%, of course. I don't want to like name.
No, don't name anyone.
Yeah,
but describe a situation if you want.
Well, I've been told I'm going to hell.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I've been told you can't be a Christian if you're gay. Being gay is wrong. We don't want that around our children because it might influence our kids to be gay. Like, yeah, it still happens and it's painful, but I feel more liberated. I feel more liberated in accepting that's okay.
Yeah.
Like you can think that way.
So by you being the bigger person, by you accepting the other person's right to be biased or to have a certain beliefs structure, you actually free yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because you realize it's not about changing their opinion.
No.
It's just about accepting them for who they are, even though they don't accept you for who you are.
I have people that say, yeah, we believe homosexuality is a sin, but they say that verbally, but then that's it. And then they treat me the same as anyone else. They're kind, loving.
Yeah.
But I have other people who are like, oh, no, being gay's fine. We're normal. But then treat me like shit. And it's like, well,
yeah,
it's not about what you believe, really. It's about how you treat someone.
Yeah, you judge someone by the actions, not the words.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's interesting. So this is, I believe, was the fourth show you've put together?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the first three. Are they on the same lines? Is it about identity?
Yeah, they're all about identity. The first one actually is about being gay and Christian.
Okay.
I know it might sound like I'm contradicting myself because I think, being gay isn't a big part of my identity, but when talking about Christianity, it's a big contention in the church. So I'm going to talk about it in that respect.
All right. So it was, well, describe the show for us, for our audience.
Well, essentially I grew up in a conservative Christian home and I was told by a lot of family and school teachers that homosexuality is a sin and that's not what God wants for your life and you need to repent of your sin and that's straying away from God. That's the devil. And so I rebelled. I was like, well, I don't want to be a Christian then if this is what it is because, I'm attracted to women and I can't help that. And the gay community is like, no, this is who you are. And I'm like, okay, so I am gay. This is a big part of my identity. And the Christians are like, no, that's not who you are. And then it's this weird tug of war between those two. And so, I went off, did my own thing, got drunk and spent about 18 to 25 just getting smashed every weekend and doing what I want. I was in a relationship with a girl at the time and I sort of hit rock bottom eventually and I decided to call out to God and started going to church. And it just took a while, And then I was going to church. I met some really good people. I was really lucky. Like they were like, nah, like we love you for who you are. There was still some people like, oh, being gay, but that's not their fault. They're just indoctrinated. They're told they believe what they believe and they can't help that. Even what they said to me was painful. I don't think was their fault. So I started going to church. I actually went to LA. I was with this guy and, I did LSD.
Yeah.
For the first time, and I just started writing. I just started calling out to God, and I was writing, and I felt I was writing back to myself. I was like, once you're done with, I think it was referring to drugs. Once you're done with all of that, I'm waiting for you. Like I'm here. And I just started reading my Bible, and I really started encountering God, and I really had this full-on blown relationship with God, and it was actually Jesus, I believe, and I still believe to this day that Jesus put on my heart that I'm going to make a show. And I was 25 and I made my first one woman show and it's interesting. I remember it was February. The Fringe Festival was in September, and I signed up for the Fringe Festival without ever doing a show before, without knowing what I was going to do. And I was just praying to God. I was so scared, and signed up for the festival, and I just made up a random name. I was like, oh, I'll just call it Who They Said I Was. Didn't know how to describe what the show was because I didn't know what the heck the show was. And God was just with me the whole time. And I just remember writing down, God said, everything you're going through now, between now and the deadline for the show is the content of the show. And everything I went through between then and the show was, it was people were treating me different because I was gay, and people were saying things to me like, nah, you can't be gay and Christian. You can't, homosexuality is a sin. And so this is when I had a relationship with God now. So I knew the truth, and I knew God loved me no matter what. When I was younger and people were saying that stuff to me, I didn't have God. I didn't have Jesus in my heart. So I didn't know. So I just rebelled. But now that I had Jesus, I just took everything to Jesus. What the Christians were saying to me, and it's so weird because people are like, oh, the church. And I'm like, well, there's the church, there's Christians, and then there's Jesus. And I'm like, the church, even God, the word God, the church, God, Christians, they're just far away words, but I just felt Jesus in my heart. And yeah, there was some stuff to me said about being gender non-conforming as well. Like, most women know what this type of haircut is. I can't even remember what it was called. Or most women do this. And I was really fronting up to being, I'm, a bit of a tomboy or a masculine girl, or I'm not stereotypically feminine. But I was taking everything to Jesus, and I ended up talking about, what people said to me, who they said I was. Yeah, that was the name of the show. What people said to me about being gay, what people said to me about being a woman. I ended up reading the Bible on stage. I remember at Book of John, I am the vine, you are the branches. Nothing can be done except through me. I remember praying to God. I didn't know anyone. I found this venue, Shopfront Theatre, but I didn't know someone had to do the lights, and I was just praying to God, like, I don't know anyone. Who's going to do the lights? And I kept getting visions in my head, and I wrote it down, and it was like, you're going to do the lights. You're going to do the lights. And I'm like, what the heck are you on? And I didn't have a show. All my friends were coming. I ended up, having about 40 people a night, 3 nights. But 2 of my friends came to watch me rehearse, and they were freaking out. They're like, oh, you don't have a show. But it was all coming together. And I remember also God telling me, like, part of the show is going to be improvised. And I did. I ended up improvising on stage. But what happened with the technician is I ended up controlling the lights. So I was turning the lights on, and I was doing the stage, and then I ran back, turned the lights off, did some dance, ran back, and it made it part of the show.
Yeah, right.
So there's this whole, it just felt really spiritual, and really, because I was getting the vision, writing it down, and I'm like, and then it became true.
Yeah.
Like, I did improvise, I did control the lights, it was a weird spiritual journey, which sounds kind of crazy now that I'm retelling it, but that whatever was going on there, and I'm still in 2 minds. I'm either like, Jesus is real, or I'm batshit crazy. Like, I'm not certain which one it is, and I'm always open to the idea that, I'm either absolutely nuts or God's fucking real.
Well, that last comment is interesting because from your description, it sounds like you built a great relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
And the actual making of the show was a way to overcome, or to come up from the rock bottom that you hit, right? So at the point of making the show, or at the point of the 3rd night of the show when it was over, what happened to your relationship with Jesus? Did it change then, or?
I had more faith.
You had more faith, but did that carry on? So
He bolstered my faith. And then what happened the next year is we made another show.
Yeah, which is the second show.
It was just the second show. Now, the second show is my best show that I've ever made. It won a Fringe Award. My second show was called I Know What I'm Doing. And the same thing happened again. It was February. I felt this thing on my heart. You got to sign up to the Fringe Festival. You got to do it again. Sydney Fringe, Did it at the same venue, Shopfront Theatre, but I did it in the bigger room. But the same thing. What the heck am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do for the show? Sign up for the show. I think the original name was The 7 Things. There were 7 things that I was struggling with. I can remember what they are. One of them was I have so much to do, which is procrastination. The other one was I can see the future, which was about having hope for the future. Help me, I don't know who I am, which was about identity. I discovered some things. It's so funny, eh? Christians look at me like, oh, she's homosexual, but I'm like, in my head, I'm like, man, I'm just, like, if you think that's bad, I'm just so much worse, eh? Like, some of the thoughts I think and some of the stuff in my heart is just so gross that I'm just like, you should see what else, you know? But it was so interesting because it was so like, it was positive. Like, my relationship with Jesus is Jesus convicts us. Jesus shows us what's wrong with us. Then we turn to him, and that's what repentance is. Like, repentance is not sitting on the ground with a Bible with your arms in the prayer position saying, oh, Jesus, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Like, my prayers to Jesus at the time were like, Adam and Eve ate the apple, not me. Like, I'm born. Why should I say sorry for the way I'm born? Or like, you know, and it was so real, man. Oh, so good. I'm getting emotional, but it was like, yeah, my prayers were like, you know, you don't, yeah, like, this is all unfair. You know, the Bible doesn't even make sense. Like, check that out. Like, the Bible is like how we get to God. But I was praying to God. I was like, this Bible doesn't make sense. So it was so real. Like, it was so like, the Bible doesn't make sense. Jesus, you know, or like, Jesus, you know, the people in the church building are doing this. Some people see all that as the same, like Jesus, the church building, the Bible, it's like one thing. But I was like, nah, these are all, yeah, I almost feel like sometimes the people in the church building are not any more moral or not any more good than the people outside of it, because they're sort of blinded by their certainty. Which is sort of a weird thing to say, because, you know, we should be certain. It's a positive thing to be certain about your belief, but it's like, I think certainty blinds us from discovering the truth. Because if we're certain that we have it, then what's the point in searching? And I'm in a constant state of uncertainty with God. I'm like, okay, this is either God or it's not. I'm pretty sure it's God. I'm going to keep searching. And I think that's sort of what faith is. I think I'm going on a tangent. The second show wasn't so overtly about Jesus. It was about the sin nature in me. And it was about, you know, my struggle to, there was a lot of different facets, right? Different facets. Forgiveness was a big one. And I remember listening to this podcast. Again, everything I went through the year between February and the show was the content for the show. Again, round 2. Forgiveness is agonizing. I heard that in a podcast. He said, yeah, it's actually painful to forgive people. And I was like, what do you, he was really just deconstructing it, this pastor. He was like, if someone wrongs you and it's your human instinct to want to wrong them back. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And he's like, if you don't hurt them back, there's a debt to be paid. Yeah, when someone wrongs you, there's a debt to be paid. But by you not hurting them back, you're paying that debt. And it's actually painful for you to do that. So he talked about it's actually painful to forgive people. And I'm like, oh my goodness, yeah. Because the first thing, when someone wants to hurt me, my initial reaction is I got to hurt them back. So I put that in the show. And then part of the making the show was me procrastinating, and my task list got really long, and I was like, I got all this stuff to do. How am I going to do all this stuff? And that was part of the show. Another part of the show, I heard this pastor say, he was like, we experience anxiety because we're self-absorbed. We think about ourselves all the time. And I was like, oh my God, yeah. Like, I'm experiencing anxiety because I care what everyone thinks of me. I'm scared of people rejecting me. What is everyone going to think of me? And it's like, whoa, me. Put that in the show. I was also going through some like eating at the time. Maybe not now, but when I was younger, I didn't have anorexia or bulimia, but I had this thing where I used to binge eat, like impulsively overeat to sort of stuff my emotions down. So I had this little monologue about just finish the packet, just do it, just finish the packet. So Yeah, that was in the show. And then, yeah, just a bunch of other random stories. And yeah, I guess it was about, I mean, the play on words was through the title, I Know What I'm Doing, because I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like it's never planned out and conceptualized like, oh, do this and the audience might think that. It's more like, I'm going to write this stuff down and present it and see what people say. And
you won an award for it.
Well, yeah, I presented it at the Sydney Fringe. No one saw it, just my friends, because it was down in the Whoop Whoops. But I got about 35 people there. But then I toured it to New Zealand, presented it in Auckland Fringe Festival. And then I won an award there, which included a residency with another theatre to make another show. And then this is my third show. And my third show was called I Want to Be Mark Wahlberg. And it was about being gender nonconforming. It was about wanting to be like a man, but not literally a man. Wanting to do men things.
Men things.
Manly things, yeah.
Yeah.
So wanting to be like the first string of my touch team, wanting to be strong, wanting to build muscle, wanting to wear dudes' underwear, wanting to wear boys' clothes, all my childhood playing in the mud, all that kind of stuff. But it gets sort of wrapped up in this weird gender identity conversation now. Because in my head, I'm a masculine woman, right? But other people are creating sort of different, there are different identities that people can see that as now. And it's become really political, which I just find interesting. I think I got in trouble for mentioning there's a feminist, Germaine Greer.
Yes. Famous Aussie.
Yeah, she said something fascinating. She said femininity is the fake version of femaleness. And I was like, oh my God, yeah. It's not femininity that makes me a woman. That's all the brush, that's all the dressing. You know, the earrings and the dresses and the pretty pink shoes and the, shaving and the makeup. And I'm like, I'm not interested in any of that. And I'm like, that stuff doesn't make me a woman. Now, I got an interview for the Herald in Auckland. I was on front page of a little magazine that goes in the newspaper. I was really proud about it, but I was working with these directors at the time. They didn't officially direct my show, but they were helping me. They were my friends at the time, not so much now. But they really reprimanded me. You know, they told me, you can't mention Germaine Greer in an article because that might hurt people's feelings, because Germaine Greer is the Hitler of the gay community. And I was like, why? And then this is where things got political and weird for me. I was like, what do you mean? I'm just telling a story. That resonates with me so much. And he was like, yeah, but that could be taken the wrong way to the transgender community. And I was like, well, sure, if you read into it so much, but you got to understand the context of what I was saying was everything to do with my own identity. And he was like, you still cannot mention someone's name that makes the transgender community uncomfortable. And I was like, I didn't know there were rules around all this stuff. I was like, man, just be nice. Treat people like human beings. Talk to them. Why are you dictating to me what I can and can't say? Especially because I never said a bad thing about anyone. I just mentioned a woman's name that you don't like. And that's that weird thing about guilt. It's like guilt by association. It's like you can't, yeah. And then that took me in a really weird direction. That sort of feeded into the fourth show. If we wrap back around and we go back to the fourth show, it's this politicization of identity that I find irritating. Yeah. And that's my theatre.
Yeah. I reckon that's great, though.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You happy with that?
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to edit anything from it. What do you think?
I'm happy. I'm happy to put that out into the world.
Yeah. I think that's so good.
Whew, thank you for listening to that. If you want to get in contact with me, my handle is Melody Rachel K. Otherwise, I'll see you next week back into interviewing people. See ya.